So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. After the flashes and the siren, Frank took a look at his speedometer before slowing down from 75, where he was speeding through a 55-mile-per-hour zone. Fourth time in many months. How could a guy get caught so often? Frank pulled over, but only partially, saying to himself, let the cop worry about the potential traffic hazard, and maybe some other car would tweak his backside with a mirror or something. The cop stepped out, and with the pad in hand, he walked up to Frank's car. Frank immediately recognized that it was Scott from church. Frank's heart sunk even further into his chest. This was worse than the coming ticket. A Christian cop catching a guy from his own church speeding. A guy who happened to be a little anxious to get home after a long day at the office. Hi, Scott, Frank said. Sorry for meeting you like this. Hello, Frank, the officer said with no smile. I guess you caught me red-handed. I was in a rush to get home and see my wife and kids. Yeah, I guess so, said the officer. Frank then said, I've seen some long days at the office lately. I'm afraid I bent the rules a bit just this once. Karen said something about roast beef and potatoes tonight. You know what I mean? I know what you mean. And I also know that you have a reputation for speeding in our precinct, said the officer. This was obviously not going in the right direction. So I guess it's time to switch up the tactics. What you clock me at? Asked Frank. 75. Now would you please get back into your car before you get shot, said the officer. Now wait a minute. I checked soon as I saw you. I was barely nudging 65. This lie seemed to come easier with every ticket. This is your last warning, Frank, the cop said as he unbuckled his gun holster. Get back in the car now. Flustered, Frank hunched himself through the still open door, slamming it shut, and then sat there impatiently, flickering through his cell phone. Minutes ticked by, and the officer scribbled away on the pad. But why hadn't he asked for Frank's driver's license yet? Then a tap on the window jerked Frank's head to the left, and there was Scott with a folded piece of paper in hand. Frank rolled down the window a mere 2 inches, just enough room for the officer to pass him the slip. Thanks, Frank said, but could not quite keep the sneer out of his voice. The officer then returned to his car without a word. Frank unfolded the sheet of paper. How much was this gonna cost? But wait a minute. What is this? Is this some kind of joke? It certainly was not a traffic ticket. So Frank began to read it. Dear Frank, it said, once upon a time I had a daughter. She was 6 when killed by a speeding driver. A fine and 3 months in jail, and the man was free to go home and hug his daughters, all 3 of them. I only had one, and I'm gonna have to wait until heaven before I can ever hug her again. 1,000 times I've tried to forgive that man. 1,000 times I thought I had, and maybe I did, but right now I need to do it again. Pray for me, and please be careful. My son is all I have left. Frank turned around and looked just in time to see Scott's police cruiser pull away and head down the road. Frank watched until it disappeared. He sat there for a minute, then slowly pulled away and drove home, praying for forgiveness and hugging a surprised wife and kid. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 through 4. I'm Reverend Said. Please join me for daily prayer, Bible study, and spiritual inspiration. And if you ain't did it already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment on any video on this channel. And until the next time, y'all stay blessed.